Come and catch the vibe. Welcome to Easy Weekend.
It's Easy Weekends.
Cats can't see me.
Welcome back to the Sit Down. It's your guy, M. Easy. Thank you for joining us again. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and all that other stuff whatever. We got my guy. He's been someone that's been around me in my career since, I believe, the beginning. DJ Self introduced us. He's always been someone that's been very real and upfront with me. He's always has the pulse of what's on the precipice of what's about to pop. He's someone that I think a lot of artists would need in their corner. Absolutely. I call him Huge Hood huge. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. What do you want them to know you as, sir?
Well, that's about right. Huge Hood is it. That's me.
It's my guy. So normally, you're on the other side of this, bringing me the artist. What are you doing sitting in front of me today, sir?
My family's been on my back. They told me it's time to bet on me. Not that when I invest and work with artists, that ain't believing in me, because that's believing in my talent and my eye for music and what's going on. But it's to put the focal point on me at some point, because I got a lot of history in this. So who better to bet on than yourself? I
mean, I don't think a lot of people believe in themselves the way they should.
Wow.
Whether it's because they don't see themselves in the light other people see themselves in, or they don't believe in themselves in the way other people believe themselves. I think each person has a moment of clarity when they start to believe in themselves. Was there a moment of clarity for you?
No, I've always believed in myself. Even when I'm, working with the artists, I'm believing in what I could do for them, not just their talent. I believe in their talent, but I believe in my abilities to bring out the best in them. So it's still betting on me then, because I'm fully confident in what I'm capable of doing.
I'm just assuming this, because I don't know this for a fact. Most people that bring me artists, again, I'm being very general, when the artist comes back to see Angie Martinez later on, it's not the same person that brings them.
Absolutely not. I agree.
Can you speak to how that transition happens, whether it's a positive, negative, or how that happens? Because I see somebody bring me this person, and then, because I'm also the producer of the Angie Martinez show, I'm like, I remember when you came to me, but where's... And
because most of the time, when artists get going, there's a lot of things that transpire in between. Sometimes there's some untrustworthy things that can take part, maybe on both sides. But most of the time it's not. It's just the artists get bigger, and then they feel like they bigger than the person who they started with, so they think they need a person that's to the next level to help them elevate even more.
Is that something you take personal?
Not me personally, because I believe I can get you to the promised land, because I can do things that the major labels don't invest in no more, and that's cultivating the talent, who taking the time to teach people how to record records properly, letting them understand that records need to be mixed and mastered, teaching them to make music with concept. And, to have a hit record, within that record has to be a moment. And everyone doesn't know that. Everyone think it's just about rapping, or just, you got a good voice, you can sing, but it's more to it than that.
Well, explain, because you dropped the jewel right there. Explain to me about the moment in the record. What do you mean exactly by that?
Within every record, it's a moment, because it got to be memorable. It got to be something that everyone takes personal to them. And that's when the record sticks, because everyone could relate to the record, and it's something within that record that everyone wants to, they say, that's me. Oh, I remember that. That happened to me.
Something they connect with.
Yeah, so that's why they go back and play it, and that's why they go tell another person about the record.
We're a couple minutes into the interview, and I haven't even asked you some of the artists that you've, let's come on, give me the list. It's a long list. Give me as much as you can, Paul.
It's a long list. All of this started January 1st, 1998. First, it was my little brother Kai and Cashmere. Cashmere's from East New York, and then it was R&B singer Razor. He's from Brownsville, who I got 2 major record deals from. It took 6.5 years to get his first deal with Virgin Records. Then in 2007, we was at Def Jam. Uncle Murder was at Def Jam, and then we was at Sony. And we had Mano.
New Mano.
And, you know, I've been working closely with, you know, for the past 25 years with Bun B, Mr. Trillberger.
Trillberger, yes.
Very closely. That's my brother. I manage some of the biggest DJs in the game. And, you know, the first two to embrace me was DJ K Slay and DJ Enough. Like, who embraced me and gave me a real opportunity to show what I was capable of doing. Some of the stuff I did started off because I was strong in the street and I could make sure people were safe and stuff to that nature. I still do that. But then they seen my business savvy, you know, where they could entrust stuff in me to manage situations and stuff to that nature. And then, you know, I've managed Lola Brooke. I've managed Billy B. A ton of people. The list could go on.
Yeah,
I manage producers. I actually currently manage right now one of the hottest producers out, Sharif Slater, a.k.a. Reefer Music. That's who be, you know, producing most of the Lola records. He produced for Fabulous, for French Montana, for some of the biggest artists in the world, for Puff, for everybody you could think of. So
now, as someone that's been around and seen the back in the day artists and this new artists and been involved in all this, do you think it's easier to get signed and picked up now than it was back in the day? Or you think it was harder? It's harder now because the game is saturated.
I think certain points is hard. It's easier because of far as if you run your numbers up, you can get a deal because they ain't signing talent. So it's easier to that degree. They signing fame more than talent. So if you're a popular person or that you appear to be popular because of social media, you might get a deal, but that don't mean you stick around. But back in the days, it was about finding talent and cultivating stars, where you was in magazines, you come through the airport and people have read your article in the magazine. You was in The Source or the XXL or the Vibe, stuff to that nature. It was like bigger. It felt bigger back then. But now, because of social media, everybody, once they upload a song, they think they're a star. And that's what breaks up the dynamics of what you said in the beginning. When an artist starts and then when they get a situation, they team be different, they move different, is because they think they bigger than they are before they is. That's the problem. Everybody jumps out the window too fast instead of working and finish developing with the people who you started with, who know you, who y'all can help each other grow, and the trust could be there, and it could be somebody you could count on. Because you leave and go to a new team, that team don't necessarily believe in you. They believe in what they could get at that moment because you have that type of momentum. But they not necessarily would have messed with you in the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
They would have looked at you like you was crazy in the beginning.
I got 2 points because I agree with you. I think if you look at guys like LeBron James, LeBron James knew he was the biggest basketball athlete in the world. He could have signed with a bunch of other people, and he said, no, I'm going to put my mans on. I'm going to make sure the team around me is strong, and we're going to grow together as one unit. But I also understand the point where it's like, you was my man, we grew together, but there's only so much you can do for me.
So you got to put him in a position of power and a position to grow. See, what LeBron James did was when he came to the league, he kept his same team, but he put who's his agent with a agent so he could learn the business for a couple years so he could take over.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
He put his team around people, like if they was going to handle the movies and he put them around the best type of people.
Yes, so like, when you could leave them, you had their knowledge.
So, you know, if you were a street guy who been holding you down forever, because 50 mentioned this recently, is saying like the street people need trouble to happen for them to stay relevant. But you don't got to necessarily get rid of them. You need to create a situation for them so they could be relevant as you grow. So they don't got to be the one who holds you down. Teach them a different part of the game so they could still be with you. You don't got to necessarily get rid of them. You just got to give them an opportunity. You got to teach them something. So the guy that was with me, he could be a tough guy and he made sure I was safe. I wouldn't really want to get rid of him, but I don't need him for that now because I could hire somebody licensed so he don't got to go to jail. I don't got to go to jail, but I could still keep him relevant because I could teach him and tell him this, a different part of the business where I need him because I trust this guy because I'm here because of him. He kept me safe. So why not teach him a different aspect of the business so he could still be a part of what I'm doing?
You also said at the beginning it's time for you to bet on you. So what are some of the things that you're doing outside of the artist realm that is starting to bet on you?
Well, my two sons is currently working on my book, my life story. So Tahir is he's like a producer. He gives the good advice. Touré is like he's studying to be a lawyer. Like he's gonna be the writer. He's gonna write my book. He's gonna write my life story. We're gonna work on a TV series with a friend of mine who I grew up with. I'm a little older than him. My boy Turtle from Brooklyn. He doing movies. He's on his second movie that's coming out already, and we're gonna work on some movies. We're gonna turn my book into a TV series. My life story is real. Most of these artists, they rap about what I really live. I don't glorify the stuff that I've done, but I've really lived through.
Is there a moment or a time where you're thinking about these stories that you're about to tell your sons and feel like, damn, maybe I shouldn't say that to them?
No, I've never told them until they was grown. Like my youngest son is right here. He's my youngest of my 6 kids. He's 19. So, and I have 13 grandkids for the record.
13?
13.
God bless you.
And counting. So, I've never told them about the street side of me. They knew me as the soccer dad. Touré played soccer, Tahir played basketball. I was the soccer dad, the basketball dad. But one day I took them to Brooklyn. And that's where I'm from. I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. But we live in the suburbs. But I still have the house that I was born and raised in. And I took them to a barbecue in Bed-Stuy. And
culture shock.
And no, they wasn't shocked. It's that people think that I talk to my kids about my history. And they never knew that I went to prison before. And I walked away from them. And when I walk back, I hear people telling them about, your father's crazy. He did this, he did that. I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? I don't talk to my kids about that type of stuff. And then it was like,
So when they start asking questions, was it an awkward conversation? How'd that go?
They didn't ask questions. They know better than to ask questions. Because, I teach them like I was taught. It's better to be seen
than heard.
Yeah. So I voluntarily tell stuff because they like, Dad, it's time for you to tell your story. Whose story better than your own? So if I'm going to tell a story, I'm going to tell them the truth. Even though my wife don't want me to tell them some stuff because I don't want them to glorify some of the things that I did. But
that shit is cool. When you're their age, they hear that type of shit. That shit is cool.
Yeah, I don't want them to applaud the bad stuff.
That's just cool.
But I want them, and I'm fortunate that they recognize and appreciate the good things that I've done. I've done way more good in my lifetime than bad. Way more. It's not even a comparison. The things that I've done that wasn't so good was because I had to, not because I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So, but that's way, way behind me. Yeah. That part of my life is gone. So don't think I'm up here trying to talk about some street shit because half of these dudes is, I grew up in a different era. These dudes could tell and go to the club and people would party with them. I grew up where tellers get left.
What else do we need to talk about? Because I feel like you've brought me a million artists. I feel like I can't repay you for the amount of.
And I didn't name all the artists.
I know. You ain't named Janelle.
Yo, please forgive me. I didn't name. Janelle is probably tied with Tweezy. I didn't name Tweezy for the most talented artist that I probably work with is probably the R&B singer Janelle from Jersey City, who's currently my artist, and we working on his project. And Tweezy, he's a rapper from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Lafayette Gardens.
Well, have we had Tweezy up here yet?
No, we haven't had Tweezy. He's coming. And also an untapped gem on the Jersey City, Mr. Chicken. We're going to bring Mr. Chicken next week because we working on his EP.
Somebody said something about him to me. I think
he got a new record. It's called Lashes, and it's going to be probably the biggest record to end the year. I promise you. He's bigging up the women. Everybody else dissing the women. We not into that. We love our queens.
Amen.
You know, I wish my mother was here. You know, we love our queens. We appreciate them, and we gonna glorify them. Like, that's what we gonna do. But Mr. Chicken, I could just name artists for days. I've helped so many artists that wasn't even my artist, because every time I do something, it's genuine.
Is there anybody you missed on? Because your percentage rate is high. Is there anybody that you, damn, I had this little nigga and I let him go?
I'm going to say this.
Come on, I'm waiting.
I don't live with no regrets. Any decision that I make, I can live with. But I can name a ton of artists that asked to work with me that I
you
passed
decline?
on.
Go ahead,
Yes,
let me hear. Give me some.
I'm just going to give you the biggest artists that I declined on, and they from New York City, and that was French Montana. French asked me to manage him outside.
At what point? This brand new French?
This was like that era when he was doing Cocaine City. That's when I had Uncle Murder. He used to be in Cypress Gardens with us in Brooklyn. He was in the projects, in the trenches, and he from the Bronx, and he was in Brooklyn with us, and he wasn't worried about a thing. That's still my man. We cracked jokes one day. He was like, yeah, Hood, you passed up on me. But I didn't regret it. It was, what I don't do is overwhelm myself.
Okay.
And I had Uncle Murder, I had Razor, and, you know, I had Slay, I had Enough. Like, and I just felt like I don't want to overdo, because I like to give the right amount of attention to each situation, especially if it's a new situation. So I passed on that, and he was successful. And maybe that was the best thing to happen for him.
Yeah, maybe.
We still
I doubt
cool.
it.
That's still my man, though. We ain't got no hard feelings. It was never no hard feelings. That's still my man. And, you know, the rest of the artists that I probably passed on probably wasn't it. They probably wasn't it.
Oh, man.
But I can't have everybody. I also work with, you know, a pop star, like, you know, a girl. She didn't have big success in music because of herself, but the girl Jasmine Ray, she currently works in the mayor's office right now. She's one of the best singers that I've ever been around. And when I, you know, was back and forth working with her, and then when I really started to get her going, she went and had a baby.
Girls.
She from Staten Island. Yes, Jasmine Ray, I'm talking about you.
Okay, so we've did the history, we've done the present. Is there anything else I've missed?
Well, currently we working on, you know, as I said, my two sons told me to bet on me, so we doing the book. We're going to work on the TV series, but we're going to start it off with a podcast. We're going to do a podcast.
Is this the first time you're saying this?
First time saying
Okay,
it.
so here it is. There's the exclusive. Podcast coming soon.
To anyone, a podcast, and the podcast is going to be based upon, you know, the entertainment business, every aspect of the entertainment business. So it's going to be about behind the fame, before the fame. What happened before the fame? And it's going to be me and Money Nails.
Oh!
And Ron Stu.
Stu! Hold on, time out. So you mean to tell me the three of y'all going to sit in front of some microphones and cameras and talk about artists' fame before the fame, or the way they were, how they got to the fame?
How they got to the fame, everything. We're going to talk about reality. We're going to talk about what don't get talked about. Not no bad in no bad way. It's just that we do so much for so many artists, and the part that they forget to talk about in the interview is how they got there. They talk about their come up, and they skip over the part when they home at night in they bed and someone's in the street in these clubs making sure they record get played when we making the calls to the DJs every day, and the engineers to remind the DJ when they programming the music to get their records played, and setting up interviews for them and stuff to that nature, and setting up for them to get in magazines and getting them interviews on podcasts and all that. They forget to ever mention the people who do it.
See, Monday through Friday, I feel that pain. Mm-hmm. I sit behind this board, and Angie Martinez is the star, and everything goes on. And when it's great, it's, oh, Angie did a great job.
But what about the person who produced the show?
Exactly. But when it's fucked up, it's never Angie's fault. It's always, that means, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, but
So I get that.
but it is your fault because
It is.
she's the star.
Yeah.
So you got to take the hit.
And I understand that 100%.
And then when it's successful, she's the star, so she get the glory.
Absolutely.
But in reality, when it go bad, it is her fault for having you.
Yeah, you can look at it that way too.
Because I'm gonna take the credit with the good or the bad.
Absolutely.
I remember when me and you talked about me managing you, because you had a great show that you was working on back in the days with the 40/40 and bringing back a show that's familiar like a 106 in Park.
And I never got it off the ground.
Now, yeah, you gave up on it, but I think we might have to revisit that. And I'm way more resourceful, and where we could bring in some sponsors and stuff to that nature. You have a great personality where you're humorous and stuff to that nature, where we might have to bring that show back.
Well, so I guess we've made a new partnership. Me and Hood about to get the show started again. Sit Down Live coming soon. We're gonna talk about that
really soon.
So the podcast, how soon we popping that off?
I want to do the first episode for the holidays. I want to do the first episode around somewhere in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because I want to find the right location, and I want to film the first 6-7 episodes, and we're not going to do every episode traditional where we just sitting in a room at a table. We're going to do talking, like our podcast is going to be like a talking piece, where if I interview you, I'm going to do the things you like to do. So if you like to shoot pool, we're going to mic up and move around. We're going to go shoot pool, and we're going to have a conversation. Our podcast is going to be more like a conversation piece.
Got you. Listen.
And whoever listened to this interview, you could bite it, but you're not me, so it don't even matter.
Yeah, I ain't worried about that. I want the three of y'all up here. I want to talk. I want a taste of the podcast on my show. So just know, once we turn these mics off, I'm going to try to schedule with the three of y'all for this podcast.
I can make that happen, no problem. Those are my guys. Those are some of the biggest record promoters in the music business, and they knowledgeable of the business.
And they're bigwigs. They're not like.
So when you interview us and you talk to people like Money Nails, and he tell you some of the artists and records that he done promoted from 50 Cent and on. I just named one of the biggest artists in the world ever, and Money Nails was there in the beginning.
Yep.
So we talking about senior vice presidents of major regulators.
That's what I'm saying. These aren't like the interns.
Yeah, these not interns. And the reason why they'll do a podcast to somebody like me, because I've done the work that they did without a major regulator.
I'm excited for it.
I remember when they couldn't get in certain places, I got them in there.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this. See, as I don't want to call myself a hip hop junkie, because that'd be giving myself too much credit. As someone that loves the craft of radio and hip hop, I cannot wait for this podcast.
I can't wait for it either. And far as artists, let me not forget, because I'll never hear the end of it. My little niece Giselle, that's my artist as well. And I started her. She's 19 now. She go to Lincoln University. And I started her when she was 14 years old. I
remember you telling me about her.
She and the girl's a star. It's just, I told her she got to believe in her, and I think now she's coming into that, where she believes in herself. And I teach her that it ain't about me or her mother; it's about her. The girl's a star. Like some people, I always talk about the making of a star, but to me, really, a star is born.
Born, I agree.
What we do is bring it out of them. Like a star is born, and that little girl's a star, and I don't want to forget about her, because I don't want to hear that.
What's her name?
Giselle.
Hi, Giselle.
Lincoln University.
Heard
she
you.
in her sophomore year, she just went back to school, and she got a couple big records with Janelle. We got some big records that she did over the summer with Janelle, and we're gonna put out one of them soon, probably October.
I have a feeling 2024 is about to be the year.
I got some big records with Janelle and Billy, and I got some big records that we working on with Chicken. I'm gonna let Reef co-executive produce his project, because I promise y'all, I'm saying it first. I put my money on him. Reef against anybody. Y'all gonna have to bring Dre out of retirement to compete with Reef. He that. Everybody.
The dude that does Ice Spice shit hot right now, though. Riot? That's his name, right?
Yeah, that's Lil EJ.
Yeah.
That's Lil EJ.
Yeah, he hot right now, too, God.
He's on fire. And he's making a truckload of money. And I remember him when he was born. He's a couple days apart from my son.
Oh, wow.
Because me and E is close, and we had kids around the same time. But he not Reef. Reef make pop music. He make Korean pop music.
K-pop? No, God.
K-pop. He makes hip-hop music. He makes reggae music. Because, first of all, Reef is half Trini, half Jamaican.
Damn.
And then, you know, he's a good Muslim brother. So he got Allah on his side. So
there it goes.
And he worked every day relentlessly. And most people don't. Most people, they make some money and they want to go celebrate. Where his celebration is in the studio. So I put my money on Reef, and me and Reef about to do some big things together.
I'm watching. I'm going to be paying attention.
You should.
Excuse me. Before I let you go, let them know how to follow you and anything else you want the people to know before I let you go.
Well, you can follow me on all platforms. Feed the Family Entertainment. Everything spelled down. I don't do no ebonics. It's Feed the Family, not the family.
Grown man shit.
Grown man. I don't do no ebonics. So y'all can hit me up like that.
Hood.
And what else I'm working on? Becoming a billionaire. So y'all help me out.
Straight like that.
Stop being crabs in the barrel. Don't bring us down. It's time for black people to celebrate each other. I'm going to let all the people know the competition is at the bottom. The collaborations is on top. So let's collaborate.
You heard the man. It's going to be the year of the hood, 2024. You heard me? I said it once, I ain't going to say it again. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. You know how we get down. My door is always open for you. And I'm waiting for Chicken, God.
Next week, Mr. Chicken, new record, Lashes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sit down and we up out of here. Come and catch the vibe. Welcome to Easy Weekend.
It's Easy Weekends.
Cats can't see me.